Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning to the Win with Dice podcast. This podcast is all about tabletop RPGs. Calvin and I take a casual approach to the hobby, so on this podcast we like to talk about the games that we run and the games that we play and the cool, wonderful people we get to experience the hobby with. If this is your first time kind of hearing about tabletop RPGs, hey, go find yourself a table and go have some fun. And if you are a player at someone's table you never jammed before, it's pretty fun. You can definitely do it. You can definitely run a game for your table.
Indeed. So this week, we're going to hop back into one of our favorite things to do, which is coming up with a session scenario or campaign idea based on some random generators we find on the internet. Specifically, we're going to set up a Lancer scenario, but with a bit of a twist. However, before we get into all that fun stuff, we have to get to the most important part of the show, the Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week.
Yes, the Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week, brought to you by me, Ramon. Yay! I guess this is more specific than usual. It's not general, but if you're trying to run CAIN, the cool Tom Bloom game about beating up psychic ghosts with your cool psychic powers and not turning into a psychic ghost yourself, you can run the game, because I know right now there isn't really a character sheet. I think there is one for Foundry that was fan made, but if you don't have a character sheet, and I think there are some resources on the Discord for generating in an Excel file, but if you're playing on Roll20, this is my plan. This is what I'm going to do for my CAIN game, because we don't really need a grid or anything like that. It's all theater of the mind. You could just have pictures of the character sheets on the actual Roll20 in the GM layer, and then create a bunch of tokens, right? That could just be markers, because really what you're doing is checking off each of those circles or areas on the character sheet, and then you just have your players use text boxes if you want to, or just assign them a color and let them use the draw tool and just physically draw on the map. And that's how, when I was a player in someone's CAIN game for the first time, that's what we did, and I had a blast. So that's what I'm going to do with this one.
Yeah, that is, I guess it's not as broad as our usual tips, but I do kind of like the idea of just making do with what you have available to you, because I used to run, I didn't understand virtual tabletops for a bit when I was doing Pathfinder, so I used to use an image editing program and use the grid on that to run combat and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of value in just looking at what you do have or what you're used to working with, and then making something out of that.
Yeah, I think that sometimes all these tools and programs that we tend to use, all the flashing lights and all that stuff, is kind of taken away from the paper and pen aspect of these games. You don't need a lot to have fun, and that's kind of was the appeal to me when I was kind of getting started in the hobby, that all I really needed was some dice and pencil and a piece of paper, and then I could just have some cool memories with my friends. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, that's tip of the week. If you're running CAIN, just have your players draw on the map and make the map the character sheet, because it's really easy to cut and paste. And also you get to use the lovely character sheet that Tom drew up and use it for how cool it is.
Yeah. Although you could just use Foundry, Ramon. Just saying.
That's true. I could just use Foundry, but I don't know. It's just what I want to do.
Well, that's totally understandable then. All right, let's hop into the episode. So this week, as I said, we are going to do some session prep sort of episode. I used to call it world building episodes. I'm calling it something different on the website now. Check out our website, by the way. But it's been a while since we did one, so I wanted to mix it up and try something new. We did get into Lancer NPC classes in several episodes last year, so right now what I wanted to do is take some of those NPC classes and maybe do something interesting with them by creating a Lancer adventure. We'll see how many specific combats we get into, but the idea was to take a random generator on the internet, have it spit out a campaign concept, and then make a Lancer game with that. And I thought it'd be interesting if we brought back the random adventure generator, which we did use a while ago when we ended up making that story where I think that was the introduction of Princess Crimes, where the princess was evil. Might have to check the tapes on that. But in any case, we are going to use a fantasy adventure generator and use it to create a Lancer adventure, do a little bit of massaging to make things work. No idea if this will work out the way that I am hoping it will. But in any case, it'll probably be funny.
Yeah, okay.
So, I've got the generator open in front of me. It starts off with a theme, a goal, and a story hook. So let's see what we can do with that. And I'm gonna hit refresh, and let's get started. So theme, action adventure, which I think is just pretty straightforward. It's just the players have a task, they have some enemies in the way, no other specific deals with that, and I think that can fit any sort of genre of story. The goal, however, is to retrieve an item. So this can be an artifact, or an antidote for like a poison, or something of sentimental value. Retrieving some sort of item. And the story hook is missing memories, in that one or more of the player characters wakes up with no memory of the recent past.
Okay.
This feels like a dude, where's my mech situation.
I mean, yeah, that could be the case. I think that would probably be like, to make it easier, it would be extend to like all the players lose their memories.
Yeah, all the players, like, there was something they were all keeping watch of, or something that's valuable to all of them. And then one day they wake up without it, and no memory of what happened to it.
Ooh, I mean, you could be really sci-fi with it. Okay, so this is a fantasy generator, right? So
Yeah.
What if we kind of make it to be like a mech fantasy thing? I'm kind of vibing off of CAIN right now because we just talked about it. So I'm like, okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so like,
Roll with that vibe.
we were just Yeah, we were just chatting before because we were like, oh no, it's going to be a fantasy thing generator. So it's like, oh, we'll just have to change some stuff because it will be like magic or whatever. And we're just like, yeah, just put paracausal in front of it and it'll be the same. It's fine. It casts paracausal fireball, right? And it's just like, okay, cool.
Basically magic.
I use science instead of magic. So what if, kind of vibing off of CAIN's, okay, so it's kind of like the Lord Sin, where they would create basically like a pocket universe where they're, I guess, the what the Lord wants to do, or its host envisions what the world should be. So maybe it's kind of like, I guess it'd be a little bit of Digimon, where like the Lord could be like, I don't know, probably some NHP doing some nonsense, and instead of making like a weird fractal world, it's just made a video game, but it's like kind of like Visions of Escaflowne, where it's like it's still like knights and medieval, but there's also robots.
Okay, and then the players are like pulled into this simulation world.
Yeah, or maybe it could just be like an anime. Like it's like the NHP really liked anime, so it's like has all the tropes of this like mecha anime, but also robots exist, and the players like forget who they are, what they were doing, but maybe they were like a UIB like research team or something was sent in to retrieve this, and they have to like remember what they were there to do.
Okay, because now I'm kind of picturing something. I guess this is more of a oh gosh, what's that show that I haven't watched? A Sword Art Online sort of thing, maybe.
Ew. I mean, yeah, it is kind of like a Sword Art Online kind of thing. Well, maybe not less like a digital world, but more like a heavily altered world reality warping bubble thing that the NHP has done, the cascading NHP has done. Because like, again, it's funny enough, there's always like some cascading NHP somewhere doing some nonsense.
Oh, you know
Some
what?
dudes-
I just realized, I think a better reference would be The Evil Within, because there is in that game, like there is a minor spoilers, I guess. No, it explains it pretty soon, but there is a machine that sort of affects the minds of people around it and sort of brings them together into this shared space that isn't like, it isn't exactly real, but it is constructed with the memories of the people around it, and there is like an entity that is sort of in control of it, but you do have to you still have control over yourself in that space. Like, it starts off as like a mind link sort of thing, but then it expands so that it becomes like you don't need to be physically connected to the machine, you can just be pulled into the machine.
Okay, cool. Oh, maybe that would be kind of cool. Maybe it's kind of like rescuing people. Like, maybe it doesn't have to be an NHP. Maybe it could just be like they just made a machine that like cascaded out into the real world by accident, licking a bunch of like minds. Oh, I know there's a huge thing where like people, well, not people, like specifically, is it Monist 1? My Lancer lore is so bad. Oh, it is Monist 1. Yeah, the first contact accords after negotiating with Monist 1, where it's like Monist 1 had like a bunch of requirements where it's like you shouldn't like the Deimos event where it's like Monist 1 was awakened and was like, hey, don't try to recreate me, don't try to upload your mind, and I won't come back. Like essentially what he's like
Yeah, like laying out
don't
certain
do anything
ground
stupid.
rules.
Yeah. But then they did that, And then now look what happened.
Yeah, I think decorporealization is one of the things.
That's what it is. Decorporealization. Yeah.
Okay. So like, there was this group of people, who knows who they might be. We'll probably figure that out as we go. But they were sort of creating. It's probably a Horus thing. They were trying to create like a fully realistic digital simulation of life, such that people could leave their physical bodies behind and exist as digital entities. And something terrible happened there, and I guess this UIB team was sent in. They would have been sent in the first place, to be honest, if they found out what was going on there.
Or maybe it's just the cleanup crew, because like it was all planned and then it just didn't work out. So now it's like, now they have to send in like the spec ops to deal with it, because it's like, looks like the science too hard.
Oh, so is this I don't like, what do you mean, like as in like this is a union thing and now they have to clean up their mess? Or because I don't think union would necessarily do this.
Yeah, that's true, but like I don't think that it depends what kind of story you want to tell, right? Like, is this because like all the stories really pivot on is union good or is union bad today, right? Like which one? What is happening?
I don't think union would specifically break the first contact accords, if not for more reasons than just for like.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that like Harrison Armory would for sure. But
a corporation, right? 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, but like that's still. I mean, like a corporation, yes, right? But like it's still a part of union, right? So even though, and like I think that like not all of union is talking to each other, kind of like the real world, obviously, and there's like lobbyists everywhere, right? So then it's like you could just have like the Union Science Bureau just knows what's happening, but they're like, okay, we'll just wait and see if bad stuff happens and then go in. So it's like, because it could be conflict where like, I don't know, let's just blame it on Harrison Armory, because it's really easy to blame it on Harrison Armory. So Harrison Armory's, fucking around and then they found out.
I mean, I can picture them going to union like metal hat in hand and just be like, we did a little oopsie whoopsie. We can't tell anyone about it, but we need you to clean it up.
Yeah, that could be good too. Or like you could be anybody, because like the players could be independent. I mean, there's tons of ways to get your players in here, but the real reason is like your team is the extraction, like they're trying to extract people or solve the problem, right? Like they're the special forces going in into the scenario to try and like solve the problem, and the problem happens to be like there's also knights and robots and stuff and there's a machine doing not so good stuff.
So maybe the thing they're meant to retrieve is like whatever core makes this system work. Like they know enough to know that there is this object that they need to recover. I feel like the team won't have like the full amount of information at first, but they know enough to know like there's this device they need to recover, or some portion of this machine to shut this thing down. And I guess UIB just wants it to be like, is it UIB or am I misremembering the acronym? Because I keep wanting to say UBI. But that's something else.
Hold on, let me go at the government level.
No, it is UIB. Okay, I was just.
It is UIB, yeah.
Something else. Anyways, so UIB, they send this group in because Harrison comes to them as like, or whomever comes to them as just like, yeah, we were doing something we shouldn't have done and we got away with it until we didn't.
I don't know. Galsum just figured it out. Galsum's just like, actually, some Harrison Armory people on this planet's fucking around and finding out in like 100 days. Go send some dudes. Like.
Oh yeah.
And UIB is like, okay. Galsum alert. They're fucking around and finding out.
Because then it can be something that, like, the team is being sent in to, again, recover this data module or whatever, but they're not fully told what the purpose of this station is, because I'm picturing a big old space station. Sure. And then when they get there, whatever has happened, something has malfunctioned there before the team has gotten there, the station's gone dark. So on the surface, it appears like, oh, you're just going to the station because something has gone wrong, the station isn't responding to calls, and you need to retrieve something from there. Although now we're getting into Dead Space vibes. But
then you get in there, and then it's a fantasy world. Like, it's just like, It's kind of like, it could be like a big hab. I mean, that makes sense to be like a big hab somewhere. You have enough space to have like people acting out silly fantasy nonsense with like knights and duels and shit. And then you're like, what? I thought we were playing Lancer. And that's like the fun part where it's like, you thought you were playing Lancer, but actually it's, you know, some other thing. Or like, you thought you were in a space boots in the ground game, but it's not. You're fighting dragons and stuff.
It would be an interesting way to play the campaign, and this might take some planning and some doing, but like to play the campaign with the players basically starting in this fantasy world, and then as they go on, they get like memory flashes of reality.
I think that's the case because, like, spoilers, don't tell your players if you plan on taking this, right? Like, I would just tell the players that, like, hey, I want to do, like, a fantasy version of Lancer, and it's going to be all this stuff, and give them some references like Escaflowne or whatever. But don't tell them the cool parts about, like, how this place is, because they might just think that, like, when they get in there, it's going to be like, this is just how the world is. But actually, you're still in the Lancer universe. You're just, like, some weird paracausal shit went down, and now you realize like what you actually have to do as like things kind of go on. And maybe like as the players like meet up with people that they're supposed to, like maybe some of the scientists working involved, or like maybe even like their command trying to reach them in certain areas, right? As they progress through the story, then they will get flashback memories or something like that, right? Like you'd be like, oh, here's some tidbits of like what's actually going on. I think that like maybe as well, I would say that you could have players like make a character. I would say make a character, right, for Lancer, but then tell them like, actually had a better idea, let's do this instead, but could you just tweak your background or whatever to make it for like a fantasy setting? And then use those two backgrounds and then just like use the Lancer sci-fi stuff and then input different snips of it for each character. Which, I mean, requires you know, lying to your players, but that's like...
Yeah, you gotta have like a lot of... That's gotta be a group that like is really down to do whatever, so that when you totally pivot on them, they'll just be like, okay, cool.
Yeah. You just get them to send you the stuff and then pivot. Right, and then you know, have some adjustments, being like, okay, I'm so sorry, but we could just use the same characters and then just like switch it out. And then even if they're like, oh, I'll make a whole new character, still use that background, but just say like, this is actually who you are, but you're a totally different person in the game.
Yeah,
and that'd be pretty fun for them to realize what's happening. Like, oh no, where are we? How much danger are we actually on? Like,
okay, so. I think we've got some good basics here. The generator, it creates like a whole lot of stuff. I'll add a link to this generator below. It does include a plot and a climax. So the plot that it suggests is an accumulation of elements. So you go from like place to place and you acquire different elements or items that you need to use together to defeat the master villain. These could be like clues, pieces of an artifact, evidence, or allies.
We could definitely do that.
Because it could just be like, on some level, they are still doing the job they were sent here to do. They just need like different access cards or whatever to get to certain parts of... I'm still on the space station thing, but...
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the access cards because like, maybe there's different security clearances, but the people who have the security clearances, maybe they're lords or something like that, right? They're like nobility or whatever, right? Even you could have like multiple people trying to solve the issue at the same time, but they just don't know, right? So you could have like a rival party who could be from, I don't know. It's always just like, to me, it's always like Harrison Armory like is the problem, and then SSC shows up to just take a little bit for themselves, right? Like they're like the wild card third party thing, where it's like the players usually are union representatives, and then like Harrison Army is actually the bad guys or the problem that needs to be solved. And then, well, Harrison Army could be switched out for SecCom, so it could be some SecCom nonsense with Harrison Armory support.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like that could be a thing too, because it's always like SecCom did something stupid. Harrison Army might be trying to take advantage of the situation. And then on top of that, SSC is like, ooh, what are you guys doing? Is this stuff cool? I want some cool stuff.
Can I have that? Yeah, I can imagine Harrison Armory like taking on or coming across this old SecCom station and then rebooting the project they were working on in here.
Yeah, to declare warnings of don't do that. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Maybe not. It doesn't have to be a specific faction, but it could just be like regular mercenaries or something like that going in, or pirates just showing up to raid the place, and they just got sucked into this nonsense too. They're like, oh crap, bit off more than we could chew or something like that. And then yeah, I can totally see like getting key cards or like the administrative systems requires like certain access levels, and they need to be granted. So maybe the players have to get like knighted or something, which is them getting like their information uploaded to the system, so they're like have access to wherever they need to go, or they need to get, I don't know, a couple magic stones. With magic stones are just key cards, like you said, right?
Yeah, I like it. It does suggest a climax of a throne room duel, and I think that can be the setting for the battle against the master villain. We could try to figure out who would be the villain in this case, because it suggests a zealot as the master villain.
Okay, I mean, it could be a SecCom guy or girl, this is better who it is, or entity. It could be a Harrison Armory person who got there first. Maybe the players were even betrayed by some union representative they were working with, and then they got there first and they got like consumed by power. Because I'm just assuming it's going to be like, instead of duel, right? So I want the players to fight like the person in charge. Like they get there, maybe they're a little late, someone else got there first. It's kind of like I'm envisioning like in Pokemon. You probably never played Pokemon. People out here played Pokemon, where like in Red and Blue, when you beat the Elite Four, and turns out like Blue just got there just a couple of minutes before you, and he's the champion, so you have to beat up your rival after you've been chasing him this entire game. So I like the idea of like you're chasing somebody the entire game, and like they're just a few steps ahead of you the entire time, and they finally get to the throne room, but instead of shutting it down or rescuing the people, they decide to be the dictator or whatever. Or they like, you claimed the crown, and then now I am the king of this place. And then you're like, no, fool, we have to go back to our real jobs. And he's like, nuh-uh. I like it here.
Yeah,
I'm a real gamer. Like,
break the glass ceiling for the last true oppressed minority, the gamers.
The gamers, right? You know, so yeah, like it could be like that. Again, CAIN on the brain. There's always like some sentimental thing going on, right? Like the person who caused the problem sometimes like isn't at fault, or like they're just in a bad situation and they made a couple of wrong choices on the way. So I like the idea that like maybe whoever's like at the station, or was like maybe a second command, or whoever like you're following, like in like the regular Lancer world, they're not that cool or not that high up in the status of being like cool pilot, a Lancer, someone in charge, but like maybe like a grunt or something like that, right? But then like in this fantasy world, they were able to like accumulate so much or do so much cool things, so now they're just like they really don't want to give that up, because like out there it's like they can't be like the cool hero that they are, like
they vision themselves as,
they vision themselves as, right? Yeah. So then it's like, what's the choice you go to make, right? And they have some cool dialogue about like the truth or something. Like, yeah. Instead of it just being like I'm rah rah rah, I am a robot, rah rah rah. Like,
like I want to take advantage of this thing because I'm powerful here. Because we were talking about like fully digitizing yourself, that could be what this person is after then, and maybe just this system is like very close being capable of doing that, but it's just when that does happen, Raw would probably show up and be pretty damn vengeful, and who knows where direction that would go in. And that's what true. That's what UIB wants to prevent. That's what Harrison Army was ignoring. That's what SecCom was like, whatever, we're doing whatever we want because we're SecCom.
Yeah.
And yeah, this person is just cool. like there's something they have to do for this system that you no longer need a physical body present, but otherwise you do need to, like, your body needs to be there, so you're not like completely detached from it.
Or at least like the process of maybe not like decorporalization, but like kind of like a little bit of like world inversion, where it's like the systems are like so, like the machine is so powerful it's like warping reality. Like that's kind of what I want, I guess, where it's like now it's like if it goes on for too long it will work, right? Like they will decorporalize and become, essentially like an NHP, right? Like an unbound NHP. But that's like also one of the reasons why UBI or UIB sent you in, because it's like, listen, like whatever's happening, it needs to stop because we don't need this thing showing up again, right? Like, and like in the campaign or like the mission or whatever, you can allude to like maybe some dark foreboding prophecy, and like that's how you come across it as like this prophecy that you're trying to stop, because like you don't want the end of the world or some demon lord showing up. The demon lord is actually Monist 1 just coming to real space again and being like, hey, I told you to stop.
Yeah, like in the game setting, like it's if you don't defeat this particular zealot or whatever, they will summon this powerful entity from beyond the stars.
Well, I think it's like not even summoning it. It's just like if you don't get the right person, like I could set it as like you don't get the right person on the throne or something like that, or shut it down or whatever, would complete the quest, and the right person doesn't do it, then the demon shows up and destroys, or apocalypse happens or something like that. But the apocalypse is Monist 1 showing up and like, I don't know, maybe deleting the station and the neighboring system, maybe a couple. Like you don't know what it's gonna do. It's bad. It's bad for it to show up in real space again. Like just make sure that guy doesn't show up again. Like don't fuck around and find out.
Yeah, you simply don't want to find out. You don't know the specifics, but let's just never know. Yeah,
it just can't be good.
So the general setting that the generator gives is on the road, classic traveling campaign, of which I am a fan. And I think that fits with like, because you're accumulating stuff to get yourself presumably into this throne room where you are meant to retrieve this object.
Yeah. I mean, we could position it as like, depending on how much of the world is like dungeony. I mean, like it depends how like complex the system is. If it's like a big open air cylinder station, then you could have like the regular fields and stuff like that. But if you're thinking more of like a dead space, like things are in lots more compartments and things like that, then maybe you could just be like, this is the dungeon entrance or whatever, right? We could start from like the docks of the space station, then move your way deeper into it as like you delve deeper into the dungeon, some kind of thing like that.
Well, if it's a large enough station such that it's got its own environments and everything, it could have a bit of both. Like you could have your larger outdoor fields, and then you're like, they would seem to the people inside the system as like dungeons and caves or whatever, but it's really going into like the inner workings of the station.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It even, like, as some specific settings, it suggests like a legendary forest or caves of magical folk, which kind of begs the question, what other people are in here? I
think that it could be like a mix of maybe like subalterns. Maybe there are just like caretakers here, but then now they've just been usurped and now they're acting like NPCs. Like, like I don't know, it could be everyone's robots except for the players. That would be kind of funny.
Like
maybe there was,
because we were talking about like there's another crew in there and maybe like a handful of people, but in general a lot of it is just different subalterns that are affected by this system to look like different people, just slightly, but they all sort of have similar appearances to them because this system is a game master unto itself, so it's the same person doing different voices for multiple characters.
Yeah, right? It's like, I love it. I love the inception that we've just a game within a game. Yeah. So yeah. I like the idea that the place was just fully automated for a while, because I like, it's been shut down, and maybe like, again, Harrison Army shows up and is like, oh, the SecOm shit's pretty cool, dog. And then things get kind of wacky. So,
maybe it's just like, something that was just happening in a regular populated environment like station, and then this experiment was going on, and then it goes wrong, station goes dark, and then that's the point when the players are sent in.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I like the idea that there could be real people too. Maybe that there could be like real people are people, and then like some fantasy races are just well, then I guess it depends if players want to be a fantasy race. Well, yeah, let's just say like it's a mixture of like subalterns and people, because like I'm pretty sure that we should There should just be robots everywhere. It should just be Star Wars where there's just robots everywhere for no reason. And you're like, why do you need to be here? Like, why do you even need regular people here? But yeah, there's droids everywhere, and there's also some people. And yeah, I like that a lot. So let's go with that.
Cool. We do have our master villain, but there's also a couple of minor villains. One being the single-minded soldier, a minion that the villain trusts, who is competent and persistent, and serves with military precision.
Ooh.
Usually encountered in the field as a leader of the villain's field operations.
Ooh, how about this? How about like the Harrison Armory person who like is the bad guy at the end, right? He is like a subordinate, like in I guess in the real Lancer world, right? Is like he's a subordinate to like a CO, right? But then in the world they flip, so then he's the one in charge, and the CO is the militant one. But he still keeps his like good old Harrison Armory values.
yeah, that military precision, that field leader nature, but just isn't the one completely in charge.
Exactly.
Minor villain number 2 might be similar vibes, because it's a sniveling vizier, sort of like an advisor to the villain, who offers like tactics and stuff, but is very like sleazy and cowardly about it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That would be. Yeah. You could just be like, maybe there's like a couple of people from that group or whatever that then flip the switch on it. Oh, maybe it's like the Harrison Armory like people, but then also it's like they're researchers, and then maybe one of the minor researchers like decided to like go like remove limiters or something, and he's like, I'm gonna do this, so, and then like he like made it go off essentially and went out of control, but because like he wanted to be the one like in the chair or whatever, right, like driving all this. So like maybe the way that everybody kind of looks, or the way that he visualizes stuff or looks at people in the world, that's the thing that's reflected in the cool fantasy world that the players are going to interact with.
I just had the thought, slight RE7 reference here, but maybe the Vizier like knows what's going on and just keeps pushing the main villain to activate this thing, because that is what they want. But like they're fully aware that they are in this simulation or altered reality or whatever it may be.
Yeah, that could be a thing. Or if you want to introduce like another character for some reason, like for whatever reason they want to mess around with the bad guy and the player characters as like this third entity, that could be another thing too. You could assign that to some other party person or some corporation or entity that gets value from playing both sides, or maybe playing one side a little bit too hard.
Yeah, if SSC is involved and they are also bad guys, that could be where this person's from.
Yeah.
An ally/neutral NPC, it suggests, is a talkative barkeep. And since we were talking about the subalterns, I think it would be very funny if it was the same one each time, just in different towns, like a Nurse Joy situation.
Yeah, it's just like the cook subaltern or whatever. It gets from like the food station that you get your food from. It's just like the same person, and you're like, what?
Yeah, like looks completely the same each time, but is always in different places.
You should just I would describe the person at like the exact same way every single time. It's like like I don't imagine like a Western where it's like a barkeep. He has like a red vest on and like a hat and then like a mustache. But like every single time I would just start off describing this place, like the person behind the counter, as this same description. It'd be really funny.
Just see how long it takes for people to catch on.
It'll probably be twice, well, depending on how much happens, but I'm sure people will catch on pretty quick.
It suggests a monster encounter, which could be interesting. The type of monster it suggests is a Ravager. So a monster that's attacking like a community or local area and will continue to do so unless the heroes defeat it. Usually it doesn't have like a plan. It just wants to like destroy.
Interesting.
And if we're going to take like security access as something the players are trying to get along the way, this could be like a manifestation of, like, if reality is being altered, this could be like a manifestation of a security system or some sort of virus in the system that's gone awry.
Yeah, it could be that. I like the idea that Also, it could just be like construction equipment that's like cobbled itself together, but like in the like reality warping overlay, it looks like a monster, but it's actually just a bunch of parts put together, like self assembled into whatever the thing needs to be.
It's like a walking forklift, but then in the warp, it looks like this big tusked monster.
Exactly, right?
Okay, I like that. Character encounter, a thief, so at some point the heroes have a run-in with thieves. Again, if this is just, like, this thing that's transformed around them. Well, I mean, this could be interpreted in a number of different ways. Someone could be trying to steal whatever items they're acquiring so that they have access to the throne room system. And that could be anyone at this point, because we have a bunch of factions here.
Exactly, right? It could just be like regular people trying to, like, somebody who lived on the station, if there are people here. Or if not, it could be like another party, maybe some scavengers or something like that, who like got sucked up into this and they're like, we're just trying to get out as well. Like that kind of deal. Yeah, there's lots of ways you could play it, I think. But yeah, it could be anybody. I think that, like, if you just kind of go the route, as long as maybe you even can like have the person who kind of knows what's going on be the thieves, right? Like maybe they've been here a little bit longer, so like whatever the effects are starting to wear off. The same way the party's experiencing their memories coming back, like these people already have, and then they're like, this isn't real, man. Like none of this matters. Like give me the thing that you got.
Like, they know how to shut down the system, but they're not able to do it in the same way that the players are, because the players have access to their machines.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, you know, they are not, or they've tried and failed a couple of times, and now they're just stealing. Like the players are doing better at it, so they're just gonna take the players or like follow them or whatever and try to steal their access codes so they can shut it down too, because they don't know who they are, right? Like nobody knows. Like the player, like everybody doesn't know who everybody actually is, right? So like maybe some of that, the thieves' memories came back of like they know what they're trying to do, but they don't know if this person is like the team who's coming in, or like the player characters, or if they're robots, if they're another random manifestation from the machine, or they're just people who have been here. Either way, they have the things. They finally are the ones who are successful, and they want to. And they're like, okay, you don't know what you're doing. Let me have it, or whatever, right?
Yeah. I like that the players, like, there's someone who's just a few steps ahead of them, and now there's someone who's just a few steps behind them.
Yeah, and then now it's like you could have, I don't know, the big everybody just show up in a room, and then they're like, what's happening?
There is a suggestion for a death trap. The one that it has here is an animal pit, which is a pretty straightforward trap. You're dropped into a pit full of dangerous animals, lions, tigers, bears, etc. You can either fight them or delay until you find a way to escape.
Yeah, I mean, if this place is, unless it depends, if this place is like full of people, like what the use for the station was, like maybe there could just be an actual animal, or again, like robot parts that have been like a cleaner or something like that, that's been like transformed into a bear.
If some part of the station was under construction, then parts of it might not be like stable enough for mechs to travel across. So a pit, like, it might seem like a pit trap that opens up beneath them, but it's just some unstable parts of the building. And then they end up in that Ravager encounter where they have to deal with all this construction equipment.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. All the weird automated stuff, it's like, doesn't know what you're doing here, and it's just I'm going to destroy you. Like,
oh, it was a building being taken down, maybe.
Oh, maybe, yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
And then, yeah, the equipment's just like the equipment, maybe it wouldn't be, well, I guess no, because it would be part of the same system, whatever this is, it would be drawn into it.
Yeah, and plus a whole station like this would be lots of automation, man. Like,
yeah,
most of it would be automation, so if it's a part of the system, it can utilize anything. Like if the place is like lived in and it's a cylinder, then it has like weather control, so you could just like make the weather all weird. Like there's lots of cool stuff they could do.
There is a chase, if you want to add a chase to the campaign, and the specifics of this chase is that it just takes place on a special terrain.
Ooh, I like the idea of maybe they're flying. Like maybe they're just like flying through the cylinder or whatever the place is. And like it could be the thieves. I like the idea of chasing the thieves, or chasing the person who's ahead of you. Or maybe the people who were behind them, like who were chasing them, now got the thing, and then now they're ahead of them, and now you're chasing that guy.
The thieves, like, they know their way around here. It's just they're not very combat effective.
Yeah, that might be a thing.
So they have access to flight somehow, and then the players have to, I don't know, I'm picturing just like flying platforms to ride their machines on and stuff like that.
Yeah, that'll totally work. Or even just like their jump packs that are on there, like they could just use those to fly through a place. That would be kind of cool. Or maybe like the situation gets worse and it's like parts of this, like maybe things are under construction, so there's like areas where it's exposed to like space, right? So now you're flying through space, but like the issue is that the reality warping nonsense has left the station a little bit. So even the part that like they're fighting in, that are flying through space, like around the station to the next part, like they just don't imagine it to be something else, because it's not like the real space anymore. It could be something else, like a portal world or something.
Yeah, like maybe it like flickers back and forth, or it's somewhere in between.
Yeah, and depending on where you place it, it would be kind of fun to just like have the map switch back. Like you have like one map, and then you like switch it to just being like in outer space, and you see that clearly this is a space station, and then you flip it back as like a little bit of like, as soon as the players like know, kind of have an idea of what's up, you could just be like, okay, here, and then you click switch the map on them.
Ooh, I like that. That's cool. Yeah, if only this game had a environment turn. I was just playing Sentinels RPG recently, and more games need turns for the environment. An omen/prophecy, one that it suggests is a comet's progress, so that events in the game, they're sort of measured by a certain amount of time, and that time is indicated by the progress of a comet passing by the planet.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, that could just be a thing. If this was set like with Mefakane, it could just be Shaka's kill bolt coming towards whatever it is. Like he's just like you gotta, yeah.
No,
I'm pretty sure if Trey was running, it'd be like, yeah, Shaka's gonna blow this place up. You guys don't stop it, because he always does that. It's always a race against the bad guys, and Shaka just deciding like it's over. This place is Dover. Just get rid of it. Like.
Oh, and then maybe in the real world, it's like, since we're adding another factor to this now, maybe in the real world, like, you have to shut down this system in order to activate the station's defenses, so that it doesn't just get destroyed and the few people left on it are killed.
Maybe, or it could be Union's just like, hey man, like, or it could be Harrison's pretty cool like that. Like, maybe it's like Harrison Army's just like, listen, like we really can't have this happen. Not even the Harrison Army people there. Like it's like the other, like the brass is like, what? Just blow it up. Like it's like, maybe it's just like a ship that's coming to blow up the space station. Just nuke it.
Like once like, Union gets involved, some of the people in Harrison just decide to cut their losses and scuttle the whole thing.
Scuttle the whole thing. Just like, forget it. Just blow the whole place up. Like, that could be it.
I like the idea of them like shooting some physical projectile that's gonna take like a number of days to reach the station because space is so big, but you can see it coming.
Yeah, you can see it coming, right? Like, it's just like...
It's a terrifying idea.
Yeah, and then you could like reveal, like as the players remember why they were there. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, that comet is actually gonna destroy this place.
That could be like, as they, like part of their altered memory, they just know that like the comet means doom. And if it reaches a certain point and they aren't able to complete the quest by then, the world is doomed.
Yeah, maybe instead of like -1 showing up, maybe it's that could be like the pressure. I like the idea of that being the pressure, where it's like, yeah, you gotta stop this because like we're just gonna all blow up if you can't figure this crap out. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we might have to hang on to that because I really like the idea of a missile that takes like several days because you're firing across space and it's got to travel across space, and whatever fast travel you have still takes like a number of days or even weeks. You can just look in the sky and see this freaking, I don't know, this doomed missile coming towards you. I think I'm gonna hang on to that, put that in my back pocket.
Right, man.
It's very funny. Secret weakness. of a holy symbol. So the villain can have a traditional weakness to a specific holy symbol. It could be one that's maybe ancient or no longer in use, or some forgotten variation of it. I don't know how we would make that work.
Maybe instead of it being like a holy symbol, maybe it's like, it could be like a choice where it's like you can just like have the backup system of like the stage, because there's like different systems for the station, right? So one is this weird reality warping nonsense, and then the other one is like just the regular systems, and it's like maybe if you could go and get like the regular system NHP that was monitoring the station and is like, please, this is so ridiculous. Like that could be it. Or like another program, you could have like another program that's able to like reduce this thing's power in some way. That could be a thing.
Because I'm trying to think of like, if this person wants to be in this fantasy world because they don't like their reality, the symbol could be something that just brings them back into reality. Like, it could look like whatever in the altered world, but maybe in the real world it's like their ID badge or something.
Yeah, something that reminds them of like who they are, and this is all fake. And then once it's like this is all fake, you kind of like keep reminding him. He's like, oh no. Or it'd be kind of fun to if you could like, as the players, piece it together. Like again, pulling from CAIN again, because you have like these questions, right, that you can like pull out to do damage to the sin as you're fighting it, and it's like based on the type of sin that you're fighting it. So maybe you could just like get more information on the dude or whoever's in charge, and maybe you don't know like what it is, or maybe it's like pieces of lore of this person who's on the throne, and then like once you figure out like what everything kind of all means, you can use it to like depower them a little bit as you go into the fight.
Yeah, mechanics wise, maybe they'll start with a condition or something, but yeah, I like it. Special condition, I think this could fit as well. The special condition of not being able to hurt the villain. For some reason, the heroes can't fight the villain directly. And I don't know if it's maybe can't, but maybe you have the option of not doing so.
Well, it could be the again, if you're trying to like get this dude to realize that like he's not the God King or whatever, then it's like you could remind him that he's still a person, and then once he realizes about his past, like then he's able to be hurt, because right now he is like, it's like all about like the mental, where it's like if you, whatever the person believes, whoever's like the biggest believer or whatever is like, that's what's happening. So if he believes he's actually was always here and he's like, it's never been like a real person, then it's like, and then like it cracks, and then he's able to be hurt. Or like maybe they're just like behind a couple of giant doors, so it's like it's hard to reach.
Yeah, because this could also apply to like the minor villains as well, because they're unaware of what they're in as well.
Yeah.
The last few are a moral quandary, red herring, and a cruel trick, which is always fun. So for the moral quandary, it suggests a situation where the heroes are in the position of choosing between an opportunity to hurt the main villain or saving the lives of a number of people, which could just maybe be part of this last encounter. Like you have to choose between taking out this guy or dealing with the actual problem of this incoming destruction.
Yeah, or like it could be gaining more resources to defeat this dude versus like saving some people, like whatever the moral choice is. Like maybe some people are in danger, or the bad guy's gonna do something, and it's like you can like one up the bad guy here and get like an advantage over them, but you'll be sacrificing those people's it's well-being. That'd be a thing,
especially if you get to the point where some of them are actually real people in the real world.
Yeah, maybe you think they're all robots or whatever, but actually some people are actual people. And then you're like, oh no, wait a minute.
Yeah, this would have to be in like the back half of the adventure, or the last third. Red herring, a false path to the artifact, something that sort of leads you astray and like leads you to a place where the artifact isn't, or maybe into a trap or something like that, or it's already been looted, that sort of thing.
I think it would be, this is where the thieves come in, and then the chase scene afterwards. That would be kind of cool.
Oh yeah, like it seems like it's already looted, and then you manage to catch up to the people who did it. And then last thing in this generator, in this list of items, is a cruel trick. The specific one it suggests is an NPC that turns traitor. It could be, since we're talking... Yep.
The bartender.
Oh no!
maybe the bartender was helping him this entire time, but actually he just like, because he's a part of the system, he's a subaltern. They don't realize that this bartender has just been like feeding the person information or betrays them in some way, right?
Like just been watching them the whole time.
Yeah.
Because each individual one is part of the same network, so they all just report back. Oh,
that would be
no.
pretty fun. Yeah.
Not bartender joy.
I know. Betrayal. Like.
Okay. Well, we didn't get into the specifics of combats or do anything that involved actually using any NPC templates. I mean, we'll for sure have used the cataphract, I think, because it's a guy with a big lance. So this probably fits.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's tons of like, I'm sure that you just grab all the melee ones because that's like pretty fantasy. Yeah, I guess there'll be a lot of templates and things that you could choose from. But like, to make it work, I think anything would work because the idea would be like you would just like, you still have like mechs and guns, but they're just flavored like fantasy wise, right? Like maybe
like there's cannons
spells.
And gunpowder smoke.
Yeah.
And spells, yeah, like some of the hacker ones.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like fantasy but with mechs has been done. I know Lego did that, but that was very futuristic. I was kind of picturing more like steampunk isn't the right word, fantasy punk, if that's a thing.
Yeah, like kind of like fantasy punk or fantasy fi, where it's like the stuff just works because of magic, but you don't really see the circuits, right? It's not like you're coding stuff. It's just like it just works with willpower, but really it's the circuits that are making it work. And it's like the players are still like it could be like it's like a mind thing where like the players believe that they're not doing the things that they would normally do while they're controlling their mech, or it could just be like the reality is so warped that things just function properly when they really shouldn't. So yeah, for like NPCs I would stick to like some of the melee ones a lot because it would sell the idea of like a fantasy world, and then maybe some of the hacker ones, maybe not so much of like a dude with a Gatling gun, but more like the witches and like the other support stuff where you can just make all their hacker things into being magic, and as well as all the melee NPCs, and choosing those would sell the idea of like big robot knights battling it out in fantasy land.
I will say that the archer NPC class definitely has to be in there.
True, and just flavored as like you just have a big bow.
Yes. Okay. Well, yeah, I think, I don't know, Ramon, is there anything else you want to add to this adventure that we've made? This very, this adventure that requires a significant amount of trust from your players to make it work.
I know, but I'm interested in what the audience, you guys, the listeners, what do you guys think about this little ramble session? I do love these sessions where we get to kind of just flex the whole GM brain a little bit and come up with some silly stuff. But if you guys, let us know if you like this, and let us know what you would do or any ideas you have of like NPCs that you would want to use or cool scenes that you want to have played out. I mean, I think this is a cool idea. I like the whole like if you die in the game, you die in real life kind of vibe. Like
yeah, I like working with random generators like this, just to get the energy flowing, the creative juices going, and just, I mean, I would like to think that it just sort of breaks down that barrier between like not GMing and just making it clear that, you know, if you just go in with ideas, you can pull from things. I know I was pulling from a lot of stuff. Yeah, you can make something interesting. I feel like we made something interesting here, and perhaps in the comments below people can come up with their own additions to it or their own ideas from random generators. It is one of my favorite kind of things to do, so I'm glad we're doing another one.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, if this inspires you guys to do this, or maybe something similar, or you know, you got some cool ideas for your Lancer game or whatever game you're running. Like, I'm pretty sure like the whole rug pull, like this was just real life the entire time kind of deal. Could be done in any setting that you want.
It would be very hard to pull off, I think, but if you do, it would be spectacular.
For sure.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the episode this week. Thanks a ton, everybody out there, for coming by and listening. If you want to hear more stuff like this, check out the channel on YouTube or check out our podcast feed on wherever you get your podcasts from. Also, check out our website where we've got all the stuff sort of sorted out in different, like any different games we talk about or campaigns we talk about. Everything's sorted out there. In addition, there are gaming streams on the channel. By the time this comes out, there will probably be a few episodes of Mecha Break because the open beta for that just started. And I have been looking forward to that as well. Since we're talking about Lancer, I want to give a shout out to all the Lancer writers and creators linked below. There's a bunch of cool people who have worked on some awesome stuff that we've talked to over the years, so go check out all their work. As well, check out the Vault Companions channel. If you want to hop into that BioShock game, I believe the applications are open until March. So if you're interested in playing a BioShock RPG, definitely go by that channel and check them out. I want to also give a shout out to the Untold Stories Project channel, where I'm at a couple of times a week now, because I just can't stay away, playing through some Mutants and Masterminds, and it's really fun over there. Also, just because it's on the brain, just because Mutants and Masterminds is on the brain, check out Don't Kill My Character is the name of the channel, because there is some Mutants and Masterminds going on there, as well as Mask and Mayhem recently did an M&M stream. So check out that as well. And I think that covers everything. Ramon, anything else to say before we head on out of here?
No, I think we're good to go.
Alright. Well, for all of our GMs and players out there who are perhaps living through their own fantasies and then invoking them onto other people, just remember to keep on winning with dice. And we'll see you later.
Bye, guys.